Hey guys, before we start, I just want to say that this video is brought to you by Splice. Splice is a platform for producers. It has a bunch of cool resources. You can back up your projects, or you can collaborate with other producers pretty easily. But most importantly, they recently launched a new feature called Splice Sounds, which gives you access to a huge catalog of samples and presets. What's going on, guys? My name's MDK, and I guess you could call this a bonus episode of MDK Production School Season 1. It's a little bit late for that, but nonetheless, here we are. Splice got in touch with me and wanted me to do a review of Splice Sounds and kind of check it out and stuff, so that's what I'm doing. Not to steer people away from watching this video, but you're probably only going to be interested if you're a music producer yourself, or if you're someone who's followed along with my production school tutorials. One last thing to mention is that Splice was actually kind enough to hook me up with a promo code for you guys. Splice regularly costs $7.99 a month and you get 100 credits each month, but with the promo code MDK99, your first 2 months only cost 99 cents, so that's pretty sweet. You're basically getting 200 credits for $2, so it doesn't really get much cheaper than that. So stay tuned and I'll explain to you why it's so great and why you should check it out. So the big question here is, why is Splice so important that I would actually make a video trying to get you guys interested in it? The simple answer is that Splice is a game changer, really. It's completely revolutionized how we sell and purchase sample packs. If you're a producer like myself and you've spent a number of years working on music, you probably have a sample folder that looks, something like this. You just have countless folders filled with countless samples. And chances are you've probably only listened to like 10% of what you actually have. This is because when we bought sample packs in the past, we heard 1 or 2 sounds that we really liked in the demo, but unfortunately it also came bundled with 500 hi-hat loops or 2 gigs of bass 1 hits. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really need that kind of stuff, and I don't want to pay $80 to download content that I don't need. Fortunately, with Splice, we don't have to put up with that anymore. If a pack is on Splice, we can go inside and we can listen to the sounds. If the pack has filler sounds that are just boring and useless, we don't have to buy them. Anyways, that's enough of me just talking up the program. Let's actually go and take a look at how to use it. First and foremost, if you haven't already, you're going to want to go to splice.com. And you're going to want to make a user account. So I've already done that, as you can see up here. It says MDK, but you'll actually need to download and install Splice. Splice isn't just a website, they actually have an entire client that interacts with the website and your account. So to download it, just click on your user icon in the top right and click install. And your download should start automatically. Okay, so once you have Splice downloaded and installed, the next step is obviously to log into the client, so do that right now. And as you can see, the first thing that it's going to do is create a Splice folder. If you use Dropbox or Google Drive or anything that does something similar to this, you'll understand how it works pretty much immediately. It's basically the same thing. It creates a folder on your computer that syncs with your Splice account. Anything you add to that folder will get added to your Splice account, and vice versa. So this really helps you just keep all of your files kind of organized. It also means that if you sign into Splice on a different computer, you can just sync this folder, and all of your files that you've downloaded through Splice will be available on that new computer as well. So it's a super easy way to just stay organized. Once you've installed Splice, it'll automatically go down into your system tray. So if you click on this icon right here, it'll bring up the client view for Splice. So this is the basic dashboard for Splice, and it's where you'll be pulling your samples and stuff from. This front notifications panel just shows notifications from the website. For example, if somebody comments or if somebody's now following you. The middle projects tab will display any projects that you have connected to Splice, because that was actually the primary feature that it was built for, was sharing projects between 2 different producers who wanted to collaborate. I don't currently have any projects set up this way, but if I did, they'd be displayed right here. And lastly, the tab that we're going to be looking at is the Sounds tab, because this is what we're primarily talking about in this video, is Splice Sounds. So let's go ahead and just hit Explore Sounds. So this is kind of your bread and butter if you're going to be working with Splice a lot, because this is basically where you find all the gold. So when you look at this page, there's a few different ways that you can browse things. You have your obvious top 100, which will be like, the top 100 sounds that people are using, or top 100 packs maybe. You have presets, which, they have things available for Sylenth, for Massive, for Spire, for Serum. You can look at things that you've liked in the past. All it kind of does is just bookmark it. It adds it to this list. It's a good way for you to remember, like, oh, maybe I'll like this snare if I need it sometime in the future. And then this downloads list will actually show you anything that you've downloaded in the past. So if you're on a different computer or you've just lost the sample for whatever reason, you just go back to your downloads list and you can immediately download it. They also have this feature called repacks, which, as far as I understand, it's basically a playlist that I kind of make. So it's similar to if I created a Spotify playlist and started posting all of my favorite songs. In Splice, I can create a repack and start posting all of my favorite samples. So depending on what you're looking for, you can click on any of these categories to kind of help you narrow it down. And they always have stuff spotlighted here too. So if you're not really sure what you want, but you just want some fresh stuff, then this is a really easy way for you to come and find some new sounds. I'm going to check out the sample pack that Pegboard Nerds put out for Emoji because I'm a pretty big Pegboard Nerds fanboy, so it seems like a good place to start. Once you open up the pack, you can see pretty much all the information that you need right off the hop. You have your samples down here at the bottom, and you can see right here that this pack also contains presets. We have all of our tags right here that just kind of describe what's in the pack, and we have the description for the pack up here as well. So if we scroll down, we can actually just get to the fun stuff, and we can actually start playing these samples. One thing that's really unique to Splice is that they actually have this sampler built in right at the bottom. So if I click on a sample that I like, let's go back to this synth hit, and drag it into this first slot. And now if I press A on my keyboard, it'll play back that sample. So I'm going to do that with a couple more things. I will take this Afro T-bell, and I'll put that on J. I will take the snare and put that on K. And I'll take the kick as well and put that on D. So this is pretty important because you want to make sure that your samples actually work well together. Obviously, if you're using Splice, you are spending money to buy these samples. So if you buy a kick and a snare and they don't really sound very good together, that's kind of just a waste of money for you. So this is a really easy way to check how it's actually going to sound when you throw it together into a song or just a beat or however you're going to use it. Okay, so I just failed pretty hard trying to, make a jam out of the samples that I randomly dropped into here. I spent some time practicing, and I am not good, but I've made something that's at least audible. So let's take a listen. Not exactly my best work, but it's pretty cool for just a sampler that's right here within the website. It's such a handy way to just test out different sounds. Obviously, all of these sounds are from a sample pack, which is just the samples used in Emoji, so we already know that they all will sound good together. But you can mix and match different packs down here. So if you have a sample from pack A right here, a sample from pack B right here, and a sample from pack C right here, you can test out all three and see if they sound good together. Obviously, if they don't sound good, then you're not going to buy them and you get to save money. Okay, so now that I've found some samples that I'm interested in, I'm going to actually download them and bring them into Splice. The first thing that I'm going to do is take the kick and the snare. So here's the snare, and here's the kick. And I liked both of those, so I'm just going to mark that right here. So this means it'll be easy for me to find them later on. And now I'm just going to download these two. So each sample that I downloaded used 1 credit. So you can see up here, now I have 798. It's honestly amazingly cheap considering for, I believe it's $7.99 a month, you get 100 credits. So that's super cheap. I can't do math, but I know it's cheap. So now if we tab back over to FL Studio and the Splice client, we can now see that we have both of those samples right here. So it's super convenient. We can actually just drag and drop them directly into FL. Before I do that, I'm just going to quickly make some sort of beat. I have absolutely no idea. And then I'll show you guys just how easy it is to switch the samples from Splice into your song. So give me 2 seconds and I'll have that ready. Okay, so I came up with something fairly quick. Just fair warning, it took me 46 minutes apparently to make this, so don't expect anything great. But this is what I have so far. So as you can probably hear, the drums themselves in this don't really sound that hot, and I kind of did that on purpose. I'll play you just the drum part by itself. So if you've been following the production school tutorials, chances are that you've heard these samples, because they're just stock samples that come with FL Studio. FL Studio has quite a few really good samples that come with it, but if you've used all the good ones a few times, you're probably looking for, better sounds. So this is where something like Splice would come in. So let's go back to our Splice client, and we'll take these two samples that we brought over. So first I'm going to take the emoji kick, and I'm just going to drag and drop that right over top of my kick. And then I'll go back, and I'm going to take the snare and do the exact same thing over top of the snare. Give me 2 seconds to mix them into the track properly now, and we'll hear how it sounds. Okay, I have them sitting a lot better in the song now, so yeah, let's take a listen now. So as you can tell, swapping out those samples pretty much made all the difference to this song. It's not like it's a masterpiece, it's just something quick that I threw together, but you can really hear how much it changed just by swapping out the kick and the snare. In case you're wondering, all I really did to mix them in was I put a EQ and a reverb on the snare, and the kick is just an EQ. They're not really even mixed properly, I just kind of dumped them in and turned up the volume, and it sounded pretty good. So there's one other thing that I wanted to touch on before I wrapped up this video, and it's what I mentioned at the beginning. On Splice Sounds, you're not limited to just samples. You can actually go through and download presets for most of your favorite synths. If I open up this list and start searching through all the serum patches, you can see that it looks really similar to the samples. Here we have all the names displayed, as well as the type, so you can see bass or you can see the lead. You can also see more information in the tags as well. And in most of the names, you can see who designed it. So here we can see like Mike Hawkins or Kashmir. Let's go up to the top and let's click on leads to just filter these a bit better. And now we can see every single patch that's considered a lead. We can also preview it, and Splice will generate a preview of that sound on the fly, which is actually really, really cool. That's something that literally no other store online that sells presets allows you to do, so that's pretty cool. You should also take note that each of these presets costs 3 credits. They don't cost 1 credit like the samples. It is a bit more pricey, so you want to make sure you find something that you're definitely going to use, which is why it's really cool that it generates the preview for you. After you've found one that you like, the process is pretty much exactly the same as it was with the samples. You just download the preset, open that VST inside of your DAW, and then load the preset just like you would with any other preset. So that wraps up this overview of Splice Sounds. Hopefully you guys found it pretty interesting and informative, and hopefully I've made you curious to come check it out. Don't forget to use the promo code MDK99 if you do sign up, and you can get your first 2 months for 99 cents each. As always, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.